My whole objective with Two Worlds Whiskey is to completely flip the script with how the French think about bourbon. That bourbon is in fact not just a bottom shelf, throw it in your cocktail spirit, but can actually compete with the best of the best. Two Worlds Whiskey is a new brand of luxury American whiskey crafted exclusively for the French palate. We searched among the finest whiskeys that are available in the United States. We used a master blender to put together a blend from scratch specifically to please the refined palates of whiskey drinkers in France. And finally, we bottled it at barrel strength so that it's ideal for dégustation pure. Two Worlds actually makes reference to Fayette, who was called l'héros des deux mondes, the hero of two worlds. And I wanted to celebrate that because it was his contributions to the United States during the Revolutionary War that helped us exist as a country, that personally helped my family. I had a fifth times great-grandfather who was in the American Revolution, and it also then helped bring those French immigrants over who created bourbon in the first place. Everyone knows about the Irish and the Scotch bringing their stills over to the United States, but the French were the first ones to age that spirit in charred oak barrels, as the French had been doing to make brandy and cognac since the 15th century. And so it was not only the French who actually helped create the style, but it was also the French who were down in New Orleans who were the ones who popularized the style. So I should say that I'd like to reintroduce the French to their love of bourbon. I was born and raised in Kentucky. Bourbon is a part of my culture. It's just a part of everyday life where I'm from. When I moved to France 2 years ago with the goal of getting into the whiskey business, I started working with Masters du Whisky as a brand ambassador. And so I had the extraordinary privilege to travel all over France and do thousands of tastings. And it's such a joy as a whiskey lover to do tastings for French people because they have the tradition of doing wine tastings. They know how to look for flavors. They know how to say what they're smelling, what they're tasting, what they like and what they don't like. When I started working with my blender, I had a profile already in mind that is going to be more elegant, well-balanced, that's going to have a nice match between the nose and the palate, that's going to maybe have more floral and fruity notes than a typical bourbon that's not just caramel and vanilla, which is what a lot of people think bourbon is, and also something that had a very round, creamy mouthfeel, and of course bottled at barrel strength, which is, as any connoisseur knows, critical for dégustation pure.
The world has fallen in love with bourbon, and there's an extremely limited supply, especially of the older whiskey. We looked for 12 to 14 year, and I was actually able to find some 14 year, and it was perfect. It is complex, it's bold, it's serving as the backbone for this blend. From there, we found the 4 year that has the fruity and the floral notes, and those two together have the balance to create this perfect bourbon.
When I started tasting the 14-year-old, it really hit home. Just like a writer would have a favorite pen, blenders tend to gravitate towards specific styles or specific batches. And the 14-year-old was definitely something that I gravitated towards. And it was just gold. It was something I could not wait to get my hands on, to really dig in deep and blend with. There were nice rich notes of dried fruits, dried apricots, some cobblers, nutmeg, clove, even hints of like a nice fresh creme brulee, like just the top part, not the custard, just the little caramelized bits with a little bit of that tartness to it that just sang to me. They really gave me an opportunity to explore what else I could pair with this to truly create a balanced and complex whiskey. We're very fortunate to find this 4-year-old of the same mash bill that really brought the nose out, the rich freshness and vibrance. But there was still something missing. So I searched around and I found some barrels that again were 4 years old, but really had a nice silkiness and great mouthfeel just in general for the overall blend. I look at a lot of whiskey, and the blend that we created for Two Worlds is by far one of my favorites. It is so rich and complex, and there's just so much going on. I don't care if you're American or you're French, you're gonna love this whiskey.
I've tasted thousands of whiskeys. This is completely unique, and it's because we built it from scratch, and we built it with this very specific profile in mind, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I just can't wait for French people to try it. Notre première édition s'appelle la Victoire et c'est nommé en fait pour le premier navire que la Fayette a pris entre la France et les États-Unis pour aider les Américains dans leur révolution. La Victoire, c'est 100% distillé et maturé aux États-Unis, mais ça sera embouteillé en France. Pour la deuxième gamme, parce qu'en fait, la Victoire, c'est que le début de l'histoire de Two Worlds Whisky. Le deuxième gamme, c'est Alliance, c'est le deuxième navire que la Fayette a pris cette fois-là entre les États-Unis et la France. Et celui-là sera des whiskies américains importés dans la France, mais affinés dans des anciens fûts de vin spiritueux français. Par exemple, on peut imaginer un Bourbon affiné dans un fût de vin rouge ou également un whisky de seigle affiné dans le Calvados. Pour la troisième gamme, ça s'appelle l'Hermione, pour le fameux navire que la Fayette a pris la dernière fois entre la France et les États-Unis. Et cette fois-là, ça sera vraiment égal entre la partie français et américain. On va importer le distillat américain, mais on va faire maturer en France, dans des chênes français, dans le sud de la France, où le climat, c'est un peu pareil au climat à Kentucky. Et comme ça sera vraiment un premier whisky franco-américain. Alors si cette vision vous donne envie, vous voulez prendre ce voyage avec nous, aidez-nous à faire le premier pas. Réservez votre bouteille de la Victoire, non disponible sur cette plateforme. Merci et à bientôt.